Hey yo, what's poppin' everybody? It's Yogos, and I'm back here. Just figured I'd turn the camera on and like old traditions, for some of you guys that have been here for a while and been watching my videos, welcome back. You might know that every year I guess I'm doing I don't know. I mean, I guess I would call it a end of year retrospective or something. I don't know. Yeah. I'll just call it end of year retrospective. Let's call it that. But I basically just go ahead and let's talk about the year. Talk about things that are going. Talk about any like new things in life. Go ahead and be a little parasocial with you guys real quick, because it looks like I don't really do enough of that in my videos as is. But typically I would do this before the turn of the year. Right now it is January 5th, 2026. So I did go ahead and record this one just a tad bit late. A little bit late. Not too late, but just a little bit late. But chill out, man. I mean, a nigga was busy. A fella was busy. A dog was busy. So I went ahead and gave myself a little bit of a buffer time there, but I just came home from work. That's why I'm dressed up in all like corporate clothes and shit, looking how I look. But anyways, just thought I'd just go ahead and just give a quick update on how things have been going. I know 2025 overall. Uh, yeah, 2025 was a wild year. I'm not really going to talk about too much of like world events and stuff. I'm more so, centering this around obviously myself and what I have going on. But I know and I would surmise that based on a lot of the sentiments that I've heard from other people overall, that 2025 might not have been the best year for a lot of people. And I'm not sure what I'm going to title this video. I'm going to just spit on camera, and maybe the title will come to me after I'm done. The last time I titled it, I'm 25 and blah blah blah. I'm 26 now. A year has passed. I'll just continue with that theme, but I'm not really sure what exactly I'm going to do. But overall, for me though, this year I would say, in comparison to last year, even thinking about it, last year was a big year for me in terms of gratitude. I was just very thankful for a lot of things, and I think that I reached a point of clarity in a lot of different situations in my life. Just looking back in 2024, um, and I was just overall very happy to just be thankful about a lot of things that I had in my life in comparison to what a lot of the complaints are that I heard about other people and what they didn't have in their life. So, as far as that's concerned, I will say that that's something that's continued in 2025. I've still had a lot of positive, and while I can sit there and look at the state of the world, maybe the state of like some of the situations that even some of my friends, my loved ones, even people that I'm somewhat adjacent to, I can look at some of those situations that maybe feel sad for them and some empathy. But overall, life's been good. I mean, life's been good, and that's not to say that it's not without challenge. I've definitely had challenge in life, and I don't think that that's something that anyone can avoid. It doesn't matter if you're Jeff Bezos and you're a billionaire. You're still probably gonna have some type of, difficulties within your life as it is. But for me at this point, I don't feel this sense of doomerism that I know is really just captivated the hearts of a lot of people in my age group. Just even thinking about some of my friends, some of the people that I've been talking to, and how much of a hard time people have been having financially, thinking about providing for themselves, putting food on the table, layoffs, being unemployed. I luckily have not really had to deal with any of that. And again, I'm grateful for it. But I would say that the theme of 2025 is not so much gratuity as much because don't get me wrong, I've been grateful and everything, the things have been great, but that was already the theme of the previous year. I think this year has been a big year of uh damn, what type of year would a nigga say this has been? Maybe a little bit of focus, a little bit of, yeah, let's go with focus for now. Maybe we'll go ahead and change it later on, but we'll go with focus. Because I say for me, let's just go ahead and walk through different aspects of my life and how that's changed just right now in this moment. So this year, I would say overall, it's not been about change. A lot of it's been about like more so like recalibrating, you know. A nigga's been recalibrating his life a little bit. You feel me? I just been changing a couple things up, tuning a couple things, fixing it up. I say the biggest thing that you guys can notice is different is I am currently in a new space. I live in a new space. I remember that was a very big part of my video last time of me living in my own space and feeling good about it. And I still feel that. That is absolutely still a thing here. It's just overall like I'm thankful that I've gotten a space that I enjoy even more. Like I've been able to essentially, I guess, upgrade as far as a lot of people would be concerned with my circumstances of where I'm living right now. So for me, I think about living here and how this space is a place that has just solved every little minute issue I had about my old place. Like just for some quick info on that. I used to live in a high rise apartment, and it was like you couldn't really put curtains or blinds up, bro. Like let me tell y'all niggas, bro. Every single day, if the sun was out, bro, it would just be all over in my apartment. And it was a great thing to a certain extent in terms of being able to have natural sunlight. I think a lot of people would kill to be able to have that. But it was just so frustrating to me because basically, if I was just chilling at let's say 11 in the morning, right? The sun's out. The sun's shining right into my apartment. And I'm trying to watch TV. This exact TV I got right here. Glare. But the windows were super tall and it was everywhere in my apartment, so there wasn't a single place I could put my TV at and not have glare. So that was like a really big thing. It's just like, you know, man, it's 2025, or it was 2025. We like to watch TV up in this bitch, man. It is what it is, man. We be in front of screens all day, every day. I'm gonna just keep it a buck, and I have something to say about being in front of screens all the time a little bit later on. But we just like being in front of screens, man. Like I don't need all that glare. So that was a huge thing that I had. It was also just a significantly smaller space. It was also just inconveniently located for what I wanted. I just love my space overall. And I would say that just in general, in terms of, I guess, like physical changes in my life, I'd say that's the biggest physical change. But other than that, I think that a lot of things have been just calibrated and refocused around just changing things more deliberately to serve me a little bit better. So a big thing, getting back into that point with screens. Um, I think a lot of us are in front of screens all the time. And I was someone that always told myself that I didn't have as big of a problem as far as this is concerned. But ultimately, it turns out I do have a problem. I'm saying I definitely have a problem. I am a screen addict. I'm not just going to say a phone addict. I'm going to say a screen addict overall. And one big thing that I've been doing, I'm not going to adjust my camera, but like up here, like right next to that light, it's actually a candle I got burning up. Well, it's a candle warmer, but I got a candle up in this bitch, right? Keep it all clean, keep it all fresh, smelling good as fuck up. And you already know, you know what I'm saying, But no, seriously though, like I got the candle right there, and next to that I got a bunch of books. I've been getting back into reading books. I have a very strong goal, and I'm not even like doing some. I'm not even trying to do some New Year's resolution type shit, but I guess this is a New Year's resolution. But I have a very strong goal of reading 20 books this year. I'm going to read 20, but I'm going to up that number every single year. I'm going to up those numbers. And I just think a large part of that is just that we're all screen addicts, and I think that reading books, at least in my opinion, for what I want to do with my life, is just one of the biggest ways to go ahead and knock that out. Because the ultimate thing I use screens for is for entertainment. What else can I define entertainment in? A lot of different things, but the thing for me is books. I used to read a lot growing up. Like I grew up with a hard time reading, and then I really learned how to read and really enjoyed it. I'm gonna just put it that way. So I'm getting back into reading, and I think that screens overall are cooking us. I think that we're all super TikTok brain. All this short form content, in my opinion, is probably the worst thing to happen to humanity in general. That is just me being completely honest. I could do entire videos on that, but that's not the purpose of what I'm doing right now. I'm more so just touching on it to just say that I realize that it affected me in a lot of different aspects in life. And the biggest one is that you also see I got a Switch right there, and I got the Switch games. I mean, okay, well, hold on, not that type of Switch. I got the Switch right there. You feel me? Nintendo. Switch it up like Nintendo. Sabrina Carpenter. Shout out Sabrina Carpenter, by the way. Anyways, though, I got the Switch right there, and bro, I'm telling y'all, I don't turn on that TV and play that Switch very much because I'd rather play video games on my computer so that on my second monitor that I have right here, I can put up a YouTube video to watch while I'm playing video games. And I just feel like that's doing too much. That's going too far. I feel like you're a little cooked at that point. That's like luxury living, and I felt so accomplished when I finally got to a point where I was able to do that and have that be my life. But now that I have it, I've realized how much it's cooked me and ruined my attention span for a lot of different things. And the only way in which I can ever like get it back is when I go to the library or when I go to work or something. But if I'm at home, I feel like I can't focus. So I would say that that's like a big thing that I'm cutting back on. Another big thing, just in terms of like my life and everything. Let's just go into relationships. For one, I mean, I can't go without saying this. I've started a fantastic relationship with my current partner. We have a blast. That's awesome. And that's pretty much all you guys are going to get because I'm going to keep that private. That's like none of y'all business. I'm not putting that on the internet, but it is really nice to be able to have someone to just share a lot of those things with. And on that note, though, moving on into different relationships, which again, I'm getting a little parasocial, but I'm not trying to get too much into it. My personal friendships, my relationship with my family, for example. I've been doing a lot better in terms of reaching out with my family, finding more time to spend time with them overall. Just understanding that throughout my 26 years in life right now, my family has always been there for me and they will always be there for me. Go ahead and spend some time with your family. Go ahead and call your mom, go ahead and do all that shit, because you never know what's going to happen. So I've been really big on doing that. And yeah, I mean, I would recommend any of you guys do that, assuming you have good relationships with your family. I'm not saying you gotta overdo it. Like, I'm not hanging out with my family like every week. I got, I love y'all, but I got my own thing going on. But I've definitely been finding more time to just go to events, plan things out. Actually, just go ahead and make more of an effort to be a presence within, my family and actually be there overall. So that's been pretty big. And then in terms of my friendships, that's an interesting one. And I think that this is a really big change, I would almost say, from my last video. And it's interesting to see this because, people change, people grow overall. And this is one thing that I'm learning as an individual. So for me, I think that a part of my recalibrating has just been like, I don't know. I think that a lot of people say that your brain fully develops when you're 25. Like, that's absolutely bullshit. That is debunked. That is not true. There's evidence to suggest your brain keeps fucking, developing up until you're like in your 30s or some shit. So who the fuck knows? It doesn't matter. It's not an excuse to be childish before you're 25. It's just not. Be an adult. Be a good person. Don't sit here and just act like, oh man, like it's completely fine for me to act like a kid because I'm not that age yet. Like, fuck off. Fuck all that bullshit. But what I'm trying to say, though, is that I think that me turning 26 developed my brain in ways that I just can't understand. Because I think that I just all of a sudden got like the superhero serum just injected in me in terms of just where I stand on a lot of things. Because I think that I was just kind of like lost in terms of a lot of my ideologies and beliefs overall. That's even talking about religion. That's talking about like political stances. Just a very important thing. That's talking about morality. Just things that you're like really like. I mean, that stuff is overall ultimately very important. And that is stuff that you stand on. That is like stuff that you fundamentally believe in. That is stuff that you fundamentally live your life and your principles off of. Your morals, your morality. And that's not even going into politics actually or religion because honestly, like just separating that from it is really just about morality and who you are as a person. And I would say that after that, here's the way in which things have shifted. My last video really focused a lot on how I really appreciated the fact that I had so many friends and such a bustling social life. And don't get me wrong, I still do. But I think that what I focused on at that point is that I was really big on casting a wide net and having a lot of different connections and people to interact with. Because in that way, I really thought of that as proof of concept almost of like, I'm able to mix and match with a lot of different people. I'm able to always have something to do. I have all types of people to hang out with. I'm able to get along with everybody. I'm the party guy. Blah 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 blah. Well, not necessarily party guy. I'm not trying to act like I was like doing frat parties at 25 or anything. But I was just overall just having a good time, having fun, doing whatever I needed to do. But I would just say that now I'm less interested in the activity and much more interested in the quality of the people. I think is the best way of putting it. It's not to say that I didn't care about that beforehand, because I definitely did, but I care about that way more now. Because what I've found is that caring more about the quality of the people in those relationships and focusing on those people like that has made it so that the activities can actually follow with that as well. And I would say that I'm really firm in my belief of just going ahead and just doing a casual hangout. Hitting up the homie, going, yo, you want to just hang out? You want to just chill? We don't got to have anything to do. Let's just chill. Go over to a homie's house. Go ahead and like have a beer or two. Maybe we get into some crazy shit that night. Maybe we just call it a night. Who knows? But I appreciate that. And I think that the big thing that I've learned from doing that is that there are definitely people in my life that I interacted with and that I had, a decent string of communication with that I didn't need to have one with. I was simply doing that just for the fact that I wanted to have something to do, or just for the fact that I didn't want to necessarily, I guess, be alone. Just for the fact that I didn't want to sit and like be by myself doing my own thing, reading a book or whatever, putting certain shit off and not necessarily cultivating good relationships that I feel like will last forever. Cause I just started thinking about this more on uh I guess what I would say is I started thinking about this more on being in a position of what I want to be and what I ultimately stand for. There are just people that don't fit that mold. And you are absolutely the sum of the people that you surround yourself with. That is just how that works. So when it comes down to that, it really made me start thinking about certain relationship dynamics I have in my life and just reevaluating how I approach those, reevaluating who I'm spending my free time with, and reevaluating who really has access to me like that. So, I mean, best way of not getting too like into the mud with things, it's just more so just me just understanding a little bit better that not only is it important to be able to cultivate those relationships, because at the end of the day, what is the most important thing in life? The relationships that you have. You can be a billionaire. You can have all the money on earth. You can be Elon Musk. But that nigga's life is going to be miserable if he has no one to hang out with, if he has no human interaction. It doesn't matter who you are, you need people. That is the bottom line. You need people. You can't just get rid of people. That is not a thing that is possible. You have to have people. So when I think about that, it's like if I died tomorrow and I had like an in-game stats bar, credits, and it showed me my stats, am I going to be happy with the amount of time in which I spent with all these different people? And it made me start thinking about that, and I just went like, yeah, man. Let me just go ahead and make sure that I spend time with the people that are important and cultivate those relationships more. And I would say I've been way happier for it and way more fulfilled socially. Almost to the point where it's like, I don't feel as though I need to hang out with people as long as I used to, or at the frequency in which I used to, because the quality is so much bigger. Instead of focusing on quantity, focusing on quality. It's almost like that goes for damn near everything in life, and we all need to fucking hear it and understand it and just actually apply that to our lives realistically. Because that goes for everything. Food. The quality of the food is way better than the quantity. As a matter of fact, quantity can be way worse for you if you can just get quality. And that's just how it goes for a lot of different things, honestly. So it's just really just trying to understand that. Or even just like clothes, for example. Like, I mean, I've fallen for the trap of buying some cheap shit because I just needed to get myself a quick pair of pants or whatever, to go ahead and fulfill this specific purpose. And then those pants I never end up wearing because they're uncomfortable and they don't fit me right and they're not good and all that stuff. But all of a sudden, you go ahead and get yourself a nice pair of pants, maybe tailor it a little bit. Also, you're like, wait, watch out. Hold on. I'm going to be wearing these pants all the time. Quality, man. It's all about that quality, and that's a really big thing that I've been on, just in general. It's almost like my mom was right about that quality shit. Always look out for that quality. I'm telling y'all niggas. I'm telling y'all niggas. Look for quality in everything you do. I'm telling you, you can't go wrong with that shit. But yeah, man. I mean, trying to think of what else, man. It's just overall. Just to touch on that again, though. I titled last video that I was happy. I'm happy this year, as well. I say that, with world events and things, I can understand how it's harder overall to be happy. And I'm not going to sit here and lie, I'm not going to sit here and act like my whole life is just like amazing in every single aspect. Like, I've been happy and truly content from the bottom of my heart, just in general. Generally speaking, I have been. But when it comes down to it, I gotta be real and just saying that, like, you can be happy, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't come without challenge. And there has been challenge just in general, and I'm sure that we've all been feeling it throughout 2025. And luckily, I'm not sitting here in a position where I just hated the year. There have been a lot of amazing, good, great things about 2025 that I've just really appreciated, and that it's one for the books for me. I got some memories and shit that I did back in 2025. Now I'm like, yeah, man, I'm gonna be remembering that for the rest of my life. I got some pictures and shit. I got some pictures hanging up and shit, man. I got shit going on in 2025, and I'm happy about that. But I can understand how it can be a little difficult, and I understand, like, even just thinking about it. I watched a YouTube video recently from this one guy, or really I didn't even watch it, I'm not gonna lie. I watched maybe like 30 seconds of it, but he's basically just talking about how hard his life is this year and all this shit, because of course, since I'm about to upload this video, I made it to that side of YouTube, and I'm just like, damn, man, I think a lot of people are cooked, and I get it, but I'm thankful that I feel pretty good overall in terms of a lot of different things I have going on. And I'm not necessarily in a position where I feel like, you know, just completely fucked, I guess. I mean, I'm doing well. And I think it's been a year of a lot of growth. And I would really encourage a lot of you guys to just try to find some different ways, step by step, to grow. The biggest thing for me that I would say this year has been a huge proponent of that. It's just truly just thinking about it. Like this is what I thought about. I thought about when I die. Because again, I always got to talk about death, I guess. God damn, man, I'm a morbid ass nigga, I guess, nowadays. But when I ultimately die, what do I want my life to have looked like? I got the hiccups, god damn. What do I want my life to have looked like? And I think about that, and I'm like, these are the things that are important to me. And I mean, I think it's really easy to just go ahead and say, yeah, I want to be a millionaire. I want to be an NBA player. You can say shit like that, but it's more like understanding, like, if there are certain aspects of your life that you want to be true, it's more so coming from a frame of lens of being like, what are the qualities of a person that has that? You want to be a famous NBA player? What are the qualities of LeBron James? And just really think about that. He has grit. He's very motivated. He has discipline. He's in good shape. He's naturally gifted in terms of his physical capabilities. He's very tall. He has, I would assume he probably has good genetics. He really dedicates a lot of money and time to himself. And maybe all of those are not things that you're able to just change tomorrow. But if you just assume the state of someone that's like muscular, for example, it doesn't mean like manifesting now I'm going to be a muscle bound person. It means I'm assuming the qualities and the posture of someone who is muscular. What do muscular people do? Well, what do people that are in really good shape do? You know, people that are in good shape, they go to the gym pretty often. They work out. They get their workouts in. They don't do cheat days. They're always eating the right foods. They're getting all their macros. They're getting their protein. They're making sure to get all their nutrients and shit. They're drinking enough water. They're getting enough sleep. You know, they're doing all this different stuff to make sure that they are going to be in good shape. Why aren't you muscular? Because you don't do any of that shit, nigga. You don't. And that's the bottom line. So when it comes down to a lot of that stuff, it made me start realizing that there's a lot of things in my life that I might have been lagging on. And ultimately, what I need to do in order to get to that point is just assume the posture of someone that already does that. So that's just what I've basically been on recently. Um, I think it's been a good fucking time overall. I've been, I've overall enjoyed the year. And again, I would just say, you know, I mean, I'm 26 now. Shit's been really nice for me. Again, not without struggle, but I think a lot of that just comes down to my personal posture, the way in which I carry myself, the way in which I move through this world, the way in which I problem solve, the way I approach the problems to begin with, the way in which I treat my different relationships I have in my life. And ultimately, you know, you think about it, and that's ultimately what everything is. And then just coupling all of that with just doing all the things that make me happy and fill my cup up and make me satisfied. So, I mean, I'm overall very thankful and happy about all this stuff. Uh, but yeah, man, that's basically all I got right now. I understand a lot of it was vague. I guess I'm being a little parasocial, but not really that parasocial. I'm not getting into all my business, man. I ain't know y'all, but I ain't getting into all my business like that. But yeah, man. I mean, that's just basically where I'm at right now. Yeah. I guess if I were to think about some goals for 2026 overall, just in terms of what I want, really, I would say the biggest goal for me personally is to really just refocus on that, you know, fostering all those different things I have going on and just making it even more meaningful than it has been. Deepening those relationships, you know, making sure that I probably focus a little bit more on my career this year. You know, I should probably like do a little bit more of that, making my space more of a sanctuary for me. I love this space. You see those pillows back there? I'm telling you, I'd be chilling on them pillows back there, man. Them pillows soft as fuck, bro. I'd be chilling over there. I'd be like, whew. I would do it right now, but I'm not wearing any pants, so I can't get up right now. But like those pillows back, let me tell you about it, man. Let me tell you about it. But yeah, man. I mean, that's really it overall. Um, I feel like I'm doing a. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's it. I think that's all we really touch on in terms of goals. I'll go ahead and make sure to deepen those relationships. That's the most important thing to me overall. And then just making sure that I really just do more of a dopamine detox, not really being so much on all these scrolls and wasting all my time doing that shit. And then just really making sure that you know, assume the posture of who I ultimately want to be, who I want to end my life as. You know, making sure that I embody those qualities every day. As long as you do that, how can you not be that thing? It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, that's just about all I got for you guys. I'm gonna go ahead and just stop recording now. But yeah, man, you guys have yourselves a damn good one. Thanks for watching.